I need to make some square holes. So after researching mortising machines, I decided to buy the new Rikon Mortiser model number 34260. I got mine on sale at Woodcraft. Let's see what my $300 got me. My first tweak, I like to smooth the bottoms of the locking bolts. Otherwise, you'll get smiley faces all along your locking surfaces. The chuck key has a safety feature which I dislike. It's a spring-loaded pin meant to prevent you from accidentally leaving the key in the chuck. For me, it only served to make one-handed operation difficult, so I removed the pin with my Dremel. Another improvement is to replace the chisel collar locking bolt with a hand wheel bolt. I found one on eBay for a few dollars. The chisels that come with the Mortiser are low quality, but you can make them usable by first polishing the rough inner surface. The inner surface must be smooth so that the chips can expel freely. Sharpening the chisels and bits will also make a big difference. Perhaps the biggest flaw with this mortiser is the inconsistency of the chuck. I can chuck the same bit multiple times and get run out anywhere from 15 thousandths to 3 thousandths. 3 thousandths is fine, but 15 thousandths is not. So I decided to try replacing the chuck. There are 4 Allen bolts holding the motor to the main housing. I used a bearing puller to pull a chuck off the motor shaft. This motor shaft has a metric taper called B16. Unfortunately, a B16 chuck is not commonly available in the US, but I did find a replacement on eBay. If you decide to attempt to replace your chuck, make sure you have a centering jig. I happen to have one, and it's a rod that fits the collet tightly and a smaller end for fitting into the chuck. This centering rod is critical for recentering the motor onto the main housing. One final useful trick is to use a 1/16 inch thick neodymium magnet in place of using a dime for setting the required bit to chisel offset. The magnet holds the chisel and prevents it from dropping while you lock it in place. Sadly, the replacement chuck I found on eBay had the same inconsistency problems, so I'll still need to find a more precise B16 chuck. The best feature on this Rikon Mortiser is the XY table and the clamping mechanism. I recommend you adjust the jibs for a snug fit on the dovetail ways of the XY table. It will make moving the table a little stubborn, but much the same as a milling machine XY table, you get much greater precision. You can use the Y adjustment knob to square the chisel by gently touching it to the fence. I believe this clamping mechanism is better than the other mortisers in the same price range. To ensure that the chips won't bind the bit inside the chisel, you have to plunge smooth and slow. You may also need to lift and plunge multiple times for each hole. Even when the bit is well centered inside a sharp chisel, it will still generate a lot of friction and heat. These results are not that bad for the price, but I think I can do better with nicer chisels and a more precise chuck. This is what happens when you plunge too fast with this mortiser and its underpowered half-horse motor. On the plus side, the XY table and the clamp are near perfect. The frame is rigid and solid, and the X and Z stops are nice and work great for repeatability. On the negative side, the half-horse motor feels underpowered, the chisels that come with the machine are terrible, the chuck is inconsistent, and so far, I've been unable to find a more precise replacement. If you really want to do mortises fast and easy, I think you need to spend more than $1,000 and get the same large Powermatic mortiser that Mark Spagnolo uses. But if you're on a budget like me and you have some patience, then I think this Rikon mortiser is worth a look. Thanks for watching.